Right now, this second, you are standing on a planet that is falling. You don't feel it because everything around you is falling too, caught in a long, graceful, endless plunge toward a ball of fire 93 million miles away. We call this falling orbit. We call the fire the sun. And we almost never think about the fact that our entire existence, every sunrise, every harvest, every heartbeat, depends on an invisible thread of gravity stretching across 150 million kilometers of empty space. So here is the question. What happens if that thread is cut, not dimmed, not cooled, gone, instantly, completely, as if someone reached into the solar system and simply deleted it? The first thing you should know is that nothing happens right away. Nothing at all. For 8 minutes and 20 seconds, Earth would continue exactly as it always has. Birds would sing, traffic would move. Somewhere, someone would be complaining about the weather, unaware that the weather no longer had a future. This delay exists because light itself needs time to travel, and gravity, strange as it sounds, travels at exactly the same speed. The sun could vanish, and the universe would keep its secret for 8 full minutes before telling anyone the truth. Then the thread snaps. Earth, no longer held by anything, would stop curving. It would fly off in a straight line, tangent to the orbit it had followed for 4.5 billion years, at a speed of about 67,000 miles per hour. There would be no jolt, no sound, no dramatic lurch. Gravity doesn't announce its absence. It simply stops asking you to turn, and you go straight instead. At almost the same instant, the light would go out. Not gradually, not like a dimmer switch. One moment the sky is blue, full daylight, and the next, absolute black, stars suddenly visible in the middle of the afternoon, because there is no longer a brighter light drowning them out. Astronomers have a phrase for this kind of total, immediate darkness. They don't actually have a phrase for it because it has never happened, and that alone should tell you something about how strange this scenario really is. You might expect the cold to come just as fast. It doesn't. This is where the story gets interesting. Earth is very good at holding on to heat. The oceans alone contain an almost unbelievable amount of thermal energy built up over years of sunlight. So the first week without the sun wouldn't feel like the end of the world. It would feel like a long, strange winter night that refused to end. Temperatures would drop, but not instantly into the range of a freezer. Give it a week though, and the average global temperature would fall below freezing. Give it a year, and it would plunge toward negative 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The oceans, vast as they are, would begin freezing from the surface down, and because ice reflects rather than absorbs what little heat remains, the freezing would accelerate itself, a feedback loop with no sun left to interrupt it. Here's the detail almost nobody expects. The oceans wouldn't freeze solid. Not for a very long time, maybe never entirely. Ice is a poor conductor of heat, and once a thick enough layer formed on top, it would insulate the liquid water underneath, the same way a frozen lake still holds swimmers safely below its surface in a hard winter. Deep beneath a crust of ice, in absolute darkness, some of Earth's oceans could, in theory, remain liquid for thousands of years, kept just warm enough by heat still leaking up from the planet's own molten core. Which raises an uncomfortable possibility. Could anything survive down there? Around volcanic vents on the ocean floor, entire ecosystems already exist without ever seeing sunlight, powered instead by chemical energy escaping from the Earth itself. Tube worms, strange bacteria, blind shrimp, a whole hidden biosphere that never needed a star in the first place. It's possible, though far from certain, that some of these communities could persist long after every plant, every forest, every visible trace of life above them had frozen into stillness. Above the surface, the story would be far less forgiving. Photosynthesis would stop within days, and with it, the base of almost every food chain on land. Plants would die first, then the animals that eat them, then the animals that eat those animals. The atmosphere itself would begin to fail in an unexpected way, because as the planet cooled, nitrogen and oxygen, the very air you're breathing right now, would eventually begin to liquefy and even freeze, falling from the sky the way snow does. Except this snow would be the sky itself, quietly running out. Humanity, for what it's worth, would not go quietly. We are, after all, a species that has built cities in deserts and research stations in Antarctica. Nuclear power plants, geothermal energy, and sealed underground shelters could theoretically keep small pockets of people alive for a surprisingly long time, growing food under artificial light, breathing recycled air, waiting for a rescue that would never come, because there would be nothing left to rescue us from except physics. And here's the detail that tends to unsettle people the most. Earth wouldn't stop existing. It wouldn't explode or shatter or dramatically disintegrate the way it does in movies. It would simply keep going. A dark, frozen, silent stone drifting through the galaxy in a straight line forever, carrying the frozen shapes of everything we ever built. Every library, every city, every monument, perfectly preserved in a cold, so total that decay itself would practically stop. In a sense, losing the sun wouldn't destroy our history. It would seal it, which brings us back to where we started. Standing on a planet that is falling, warmed by a star we rarely think about and could never survive without. The sun isn't just a light in the sky. It is the single quiet agreement holding our entire world together. A promise renewed every 8 minutes and 20 seconds, whether we notice it or not. And maybe that's the real discovery hidden inside this impossible question. We spend our lives searching for meaning in distant, complicated places, when the truth is far simpler and far closer. Everything you love, every person, every sunrise, every ordinary Tuesday exists only because a giant ball of burning gas, 93 million miles away, has not yet changed its mind. So the next time someone tells you they're having an existential crisis over something small, remind them it could be worse. They could be a tube worm, waiting in the dark at the bottom of a frozen ocean, wondering if the sun was ever real to begin with. If your brain enjoyed being quietly terrified today, subscribe, because next time we're asking what happens if Earth stops spinning, and the answer is somehow worse than this one.